With the launches of both the new Xbox and the PlayStation 5 behind us, it's high time to take a look at some of the independent video games we're most looking forward to playing on both of these platforms. Welcome to Get Indie Gaming and to the first of a two-part series where in this video we take a look at our top 10 most wanted, breathtaking looking indie games coming first to consoles via the Xbox platform. Up first, and in no particular order, we have Dead Static Drive, a game we spent 20 or so minutes with back at Gamescom in 2019, with it also being on our watch list over the past 24 or so months. Dead Static Drive promises a nightmare road trip, all within an end-of-days scenario where you'll need to scavenge resources, keep yourself safe amongst the multitude of nasties around you, while also learning who from those you come across you can trust as you seek an escape from the horror the world has become. All in, expected out some point next year, Dead Static Drive looks so fabulous, and here's hoping it delivers on what's already an incredible demo and overall premise.
I have a surprise for you.
Okay.
You want to guess what it is?
Up now, and with the press info still suggesting a launch within the 2020 calendar year, 12 Minutes has been another feature here on Get Indie Gaming within other preview videos over the past 18 or so months. Its premise is superb. You're home from work enjoying a romantic evening when somebody breaks into your home, accuses your wife of murder before bludgeoning you to death. Having done so, you awake to relive the same loop over and over until you solve the mystery, which can last up to 12 minutes. This looks genuinely cinematic, and we simply love that little Easter egg there with the carpet in the hallway. Again, we understand 12 Minutes is still likely to land this year, and it will certainly be a day one purchase.
From the clouds they dive, the screams of battle in their lungs. They find each other in the dark embrace of the cold sea.
Already out on the Xbox Series consoles as one of the launch day exclusives, the Falconeer is a semi-open world air combat dog fighting game, adding more than a few new threads to this ever so popular genre. The aerial nature of the fighting is at times truly an intense all-round experience, with the giant birds and everything around you looking so utterly stunning. Of all of the games we've played so far within this new birth of the generation, this is by far and away the one we've spent the most time within the inbuilt photo mode, and remember, all of this comes from a single creator based out of our adopted home here in the Netherlands. For what it offers, the Falconeer is an incredible achievement. Up next, and another game we've had on our watch list for what seems forever, we have Tunic, and yes, while we admit this trailer is a little old, so we're assuming things have changed somewhat from when this first dropped in June 2018. In any case, like a few other games in this rundown, we first got to play a demo of this back in Cologne at Gamescom in 2019. We were also lucky enough to be able to talk to one of the founders of the publisher, Finji, about this game and a few others they're working on. Since then, we've played this one a few more times over on PC with this plucky little fox, fully expecting us to evoke feelings of classic action-adventure games, all wrapped up within a whole heap of arcane mysteries, when it first launches on consoles via the Xbox at some point perhaps in 2021. Quickly moving on, and next up we have yet another game from developers based out of the Netherlands. In Lake, you find yourself in the shoes of Meredith Weiss as she takes a little break in her career to deliver mail back in her hometown. The core gameplay loop, funnily enough, seems to centre around this mail delivery mechanic. Here you interact with your fellow townsfolk while learning their stories and generally taking in the sights and sounds of your environment, all within a 2-week in-game timeline. It all sounds pretty narrative driven, and since we've been leaning towards so many of these games of late, Lake is well and truly on our list of must-plays when it launches at some point in 2021. At number 5, and again as we reiterate in no particular order, Sable has been a long time coming, and while updates have been sporadic over the past 18 or so months, we're still hugely excited to see more of this hugely impressive game. You'll play as Sable, well, you'll join her on her gliding, a rite of passage that will take you across vast deserts, through landscapes littered with ruined buildings and crashed spaceships. We love the overall premise, as in Sable, well, you seem to be able to explore and play the game at your own pace. Well, to be honest, we're not too sure in this late 20 what else you'll be getting up to as you play it. It certainly looks fantastic and feels like a real coup for the Xbox platform. At the moment, we're not too sure when this one is expected to land, although we get the feeling it might come out next year, or perhaps the year after. At number 4, and coming from the always magical and ever reliable Annapurna, Last Stop is a single-player, third-person narrative adventure set within a present-day London. Here you'll play as 3 separate characters whose worlds collide together within the midst of a supernatural crisis. Said to be an anthology drama with 3 stories interweaved as one, we're hugely excited to find out what connects these 3 strangers and where fate will lead them. Last Stop, like many of these games, is expected out next year. At number 3, we have quite the delightful, if little bit odd-looking Mad Streets, which as you can see is a physics-based driven multiplayer and couch co-op game, with it focusing on funny but visceral hand-to-hand melee combat. Said to offer a fresh take on what the press info says is an attempt to bring new jabs, as it were, to the casual and mid-core fighting scene. Either way, it seems likely Mad Streets will find you choosing your fighters, well, set about getting down with a few good scraps here and there with your buddies next to you on the couch, and randoms online. We don't tend to play too many of these sort of games, although for Mad Streets, we'll be making an exception. Now this one is still listed as being out quite soon, so perhaps we might get to play it before the end of the year. At number 2, with us first getting a glimpse of Song of Iron back in the Xbox Summer Showcase, this one was one of the standouts of the entire show. Set within what appears to be an eye-wateringly beautiful Nordic world, you the player will need to do battle and fight your way through hordes of men, monsters and the worst the world is able to send your way, all the while looking to find the lost gods and to fulfill their oath of vengeance. Like the Falconeer from earlier in this rundown, this game is also coming together from a single developer called Joe Winter, who's working on this one from his home office. It all looks dark and brutal, and with it what appears to be a fluid and satisfying combat mechanic. As we've alluded to earlier, like many games in this Xbox exclusive console rundown, Song of Iron is expected to come out at some point in 2021. And while we stress this rundown is in no particular order, sitting in the number 1 position of games expected to come first to consoles via the Xbox platform, we have the Artful Escape. The game tells the tale of a teenage guitar prodigy, Francis Vendetti, who happens to be the nephew of the legendary folk singer Johnson Vendetti, who in the game is likened to being Bob Dylan, as he sets out on the journey to shape his musical career. Players will be able to shape much of the game themselves by way of personalising Francis' stage name, his backstory and costume amongst other things, and in so doing, the developers are saying the game will deliver a loving mishmash of rock opera, adventure gaming, and of course more than the odd guitar solo here and there. The Artful Escape looks just the right side of the delicately, delightfully odd, and while still listed as coming out in 2020, we suspect it'll come out at some point in 2021. So there we go, that's just about it for this snapshot view of some of the games we're most looking forward to seeing out this year and next on the Xbox platform. Which of these, if any, tickled your fancy? Be sure to let us know down in the comments, and as always, be sure to give that like button a gentle caress and subscribe if you've yet to do so. Next time, we'll be looking at our most wanted games out on the PlayStation 5, so we'll see you all here again soon for that. All the best, and many thanks for watching.